Hi there, my name is James Green and welcome to Build Wealth with me. I'm going to be answering your questions on finance, investments, motivation and anything else that you want to know really. If there is something that's playing on your mind, feel free to drop a question in the comments box below and I'll be pleased to answer it in next week's show. Okay, let's crack on with our top 5 questions of the week. So the first question is, how can I build wealth from nothing? I have a very low income, but I want to be successful and build wealth. Any advice? Okay, so you want to start building wealth, currently on a low income. The first thing I'd say is congratulations and thank you for reaching out. Congratulations for thinking about building wealth. And that first step is often the hardest. I guess the start of anything is difficult though, isn't it? If you want to lose weight, you want to get fit, you want to get healthy, well, guess what training session is the hardest? The very, very first one. That first one, you walk into the gym, might be the first time you've trained or the first time, maybe it's just the first session of the year. For example, like for a lot of us, January is. It's tough. The first one is tough. Well, guess what? The first time that you save is tough as well. But it gets easier, like training in the gym. Like anything really that's difficult at the start, repetition is key. So I've got a couple of tips for you. You've mentioned that you're earning a low income. So saving when you've got a low income, just try and make sure that you keep your bills low as you possibly can. I know that kind of sounds a bit obvious, but always shop around. If you're buying something or you're taking out a new service, try and have 2 or 3 different options, investigate them, analyze which option is most cost effective for you. It's amazing how much money that you can save just from shopping around for something. So if you're from a low income, try and keep your bills low, shop around when you're buying something. I'd say be very, very mindful of debt. Often, if you're from a low income and you need to buy something or you feel you need to buy something, it's very, very tempting to take out a short-term loan or credit cards. Short-term loans and credit cards, the interest is astronomical in most cases. So be really, really careful of that. Try not to leverage, try not to borrow money. Obviously there's some situations where you really, really, really have to, but try not to make a habit of that and try and clear any of those balances off first of all. When it comes to saving and investing money, that's the first step really, is to making sure that all your debt, your expensive debt, expensive loans are cleared and out the way. Before investing any money, I'd recommend that you have 6 months savings in the bank. When I say 6 months, work out exactly what life costs you. So that might be things like rent, it might be travel costs, food, all the things that are an absolute necessity each month. What's the total figure? Just try and make sure you have 6 months worth of that in the bank. That's your emergency pot. If the shit hits the fan, you lose your job, you're out of work, at least you know that you've got 6 months worth of expenses in the bank, and that should give you plenty of time to find a new job. So before you start saving and investing, clear the credit card debt, make sure you've got that emergency pot. Once you've done that, it's definitely sensible to think about saving and investing. You mentioned that you're from low income, you're earning low income. So the key would be there is start small. With saving, start small. Just start something. Remember, the key when you are saving money is time and compound interest. So the longer that you have to save money, the easier it is. So start as early as you possibly can. What do I mean by that? Well, let's say somebody has £200 a month to save and they save that money for 25 years. That's a long time invested. You've got the power of compound interest. What's compound interest? Compound interest is growth on growth. Think of it as pushing a snowball down a hill. It's small to start with. It gathers up pace, gathers snow, and of course the snowball at the end of the mountain, the bottom of the mountain, is much, much bigger. That's what compound interest is. It's growth on growth. £200 a month for 25 years, a decent interest rate of 10% on that money per annum will give you £265,000 at the end of it. Of course, 10%, maybe it's 8%, maybe it's 12%. 10% is not a bad annual average. But the principle is the same. £200 a month, over 25 years, you'll end up with £265,000. if you were to save £1,000 a month over a 10-year period, you'd only end up with 200,000 at the end of it. So even though with the £1,000 a month, you're saving 5 times as much, because it's such a shorter time span, you actually don't end up with as much money as starting small, being consistent, being disciplined, and just letting time and compound interest almost be your friend. Hopefully that's helped. I would say just start something small, get the discipline of starting saving, and try and stick to the thought process of a little bit for today, a little bit for tomorrow. So the second question here I've been asked is, imitation can be a great way to grow as a person. Who or what are your mentors when it comes to being financially stable? I get the question. Imitation can be a great way to grow as a person. I personally don't agree with that, I have to be honest. I don't like the term fake it until you make it. I don't like the thought of trying to be somebody else in life. I think you should always be yourself. I think you should always be authentic. So I don't like imitating. Should you look at successful people in whatever industry you're in and say, right, these people, these ladies, these men are at the top of my industry, and looking at what habits they display, looking at what things they're doing, and then replicate? Absolutely, yes, you should. But you should always put your own slant on it. So I don't think you should try and imitate somebody else. I think you should look at people, take inspiration from them, but be authentic, be yourself, and always put your own slant on it, on anything that you do. As I say, I don't like the term fake it until you make it. I think you should face it until you make it. However, who are my mentors when it comes to being financially stable, financially secure? I'm lucky. I get to work for De Vere. We've got stacks of people that know exactly what they're doing. We've obviously got hundreds of fully qualified and regulated financial advisors all over the world. So that's great. I'm not short of people when it comes to advice on what to do with my money. My old man has also been a great mentor when it comes to money. He's been successful. He's very, very good with money as well. He's very, very careful. And I've learned a lot from that. That was my weakness, certainly growing up. He would probably say until about a year ago, to be fair. He's just careful. He's very, very careful about what he spends. He's careful about only buying what he needs and what he wants. I'll give you a quick story. So at the start of the season, Chelsea bring out a new football kit. And Chelsea didn't have a sponsor. It was a really, really beautiful kit. Those of you that are football fans will know the Chelsea kit. To see a Chelsea kit without a sponsor in the middle was awesome. And I've got 3 little boys, 2, 4 and 6, and they are absolutely football mad. And of course, they all want the new kits. Other kids at school have got them. Kids at their football training, their football club have got them. It's like, Daddy, can you get us a new Chelsea kit? So I was in Malta and I was on the Chelsea website and I was buying the kids the new football kits with no sponsor. About 200 quid in total. And my old man comes up behind me and he's like, James, that's ridiculous. That is a complete waste of money. You know that Chelsea will bring out a sponsor within the next couple of weeks and then the kit's going to change. But I've got 3 little boys and they want their football kits. So I'm like, okay, no, Chelsea won't have a sponsor this year. We're going to be sponsorless. And I bought the 3 football kits. My old man is just there shaking his head. It's like, that is a total waste of money, mate. Guess what happens? 3 weeks later, Chelsea announce a deal with Infinite Athlete, new kit coming out, and the kit that I bought within 3 weeks was out of date. So he was completely right, and I shouldn't have done it, but I did do it, and I didn't follow his advice, and I wasted 200 quid, and ended up with a kit that is out of date already. So he's always been a good mentor when it comes to money. He helps me be accountable. He's on my case. In terms of external people to De Vere, I think there's 2 that really stand out. One is Grant Cardone. I love Grant Cardone's social media. Big fan of his. I like the way he approaches investing. He's obviously very, very big into property. So I like that as a concept. Am I heavy in property? I'm not heavy in property. I have investment properties. But I do like what he stands for. The second one is Robert Kiyosaki. Is that how you say his name? Yeah, Robert Kiyosaki. So he's the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I'd probably I would definitely say that has been the one book that has changed my philosophy when it comes to investing. I won't ruin the book, but if you haven't read it and you're interested in investing money, it's an absolute belter. It just talks about buying things that you need, and it talks about buying income producing assets. It's an absolute cracker, well worth a read. So I'd say my DeVere colleagues, their mentors, my dad, Grant Cardone, I love his content, and the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad is an absolute cracker, Robert Kiyosaki. Okay, the third question is, I'm very conservative when it comes to investing. How do I assess and manage risk when investing money? My answer is a short one. Speak to an expert. Speak to an expert. Speak to a financial advisor that is regulated and knows exactly what they're doing in your area. Speak to them. Ask them for advice. Lots of companies like DeVere will sit down with you. They'll do an introductory meeting. They'll talk about finances in general. They'll do a fact find with you. They'll find out what you've got, what you haven't got, and they'll make recommendations that are locally and tax compliant in the area that you live in. If you take that recommendation, they'll be paid a fee from that. If you don't take their recommendation, they won't be paid a fee. So that's what I do. I sit down with an expert and just talk through what you want, what your goals are. I'd say don't let social media become your financial advisor. Be very, very careful you don't get sucked into social media. This investment's fantastic. Get into this latest cryptocurrency. That might not be suitable for your risk profile. Don't let the media be your financial advisor either. Very tempting to read, I won't say them, to read certain publications, and of course they often scaremonger. It's doom and gloom. The world's going to end. The financial markets are going to crash. That's not good either. Of course, bad news sells. They sell adverts off the back of lots of us reading these stories. So be careful. Don't let social media or the media in general, newspapers, websites, be your financial advisor. Sit down with someone that knows exactly what they're talking about, and they'll assess what you've got, what you haven't got, what your aims and objectives are, what your capacity for loss is, and they will make recommendations that are in line with those things for you. Okay, so question 4, this is a good one. What is your investment plan for 2024? Okay, so let me set the context to this. Last year, I went a bit rogue. So I invested in 2 different businesses. One of them is a luxury hair salon out in Surrey. One of them is a Mexican restaurant in Chelsea. So I invested in 2 businesses. I knew both of the people that were behind those businesses beforehand. So it wasn't a random punt. It wasn't something I've seen on Instagram and gone, yeah, let's give that a crack. I would only invest in businesses for people that I know, people that I trust, people that I know have got a long-term track record in it. So 2023 was a bit different for me. Normally, I'm very, very boring when it comes to investing. I would never have invested in businesses before, but just to stress, I did know both of these people that were behind the projects, and I am very confident both are going to be absolutely amazing. What am I doing this year? This year, my number 1 financial goal is to buy a property. So I went through a divorce a couple of years ago. The divorce is now through. Like a lot of people, the property didn't go to me, or the majority of the property that I own didn't go to me. That went to my ex-wife and my 3 amazing little boys. So now it's time for me to start a blank canvas. I've got a couple of investment properties that have done very, very well, but I don't actually own a place where I can live in. So that is the main goal for 2024. I'm investing in property. Is it a good time to invest in property? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sat here saying I'm investing in property because I think 2024 is the best year to invest in property. Do I think it's a good time? Yeah, I do. I think interest rates will come down a little bit this year. I think the property market in the area that I'm looking in has fallen a bit. I think it's a good time to buy. But for me, it's just, I've gone through a divorce. It's time for a new start property-wise, and that's my number 1 goal for 2024. London is not cheap. The taxes are not cheap. The area that I want to live in is not cheap. So if there is any spare pounds and pennies left over towards the back end of the year after the summer, then I will continue to invest in a diversified portfolio of mutual funds. Safe, steady, secure. That's me. I'm a bit boring when it comes to investing money. That will be my focus for 2024. Okay, question 5, and the last one for this week is an absolute belter of a question. What's been your biggest challenge in life and how did you overcome it? What a question that is. First of all, I think it's super important that we recognize that's what life is. It's good days, it's bad days. It's days where all the traffic lights are green and you're flying and everything's working out for you. And then you have periods where all the traffic lights are red and you're stuck in traffic and you're angry and you're pissed off. That's just life. I think that we just have to accept that. I had a super event that I had to speak at last week, and Ash Dykes was there. Ash Dykes, the incredible guy he set 3 world firsts. I'm sure you've heard of him. He's an adventurer. He's an explorer. He's an absolute nutter, in truth. And he says you always have to plan and prepare for the worst. And I really like that. I went through life, certainly at a young age, with only plan B, a confidence, an arrogance that my plan A would work and I didn't need a plan B. And that's cool. It's great that you believe in yourself and you back yourself, but then life happens and the shit hits the fan and you get obstacles and you get challenges and you get hurdles. And suddenly I realized that actually you need a plan B as well, and sometimes a plan C and a plan D. So I think first of all, as we go into this year, it's the start of the year, recognize that you are going to get challenges. I guess life's a little bit like a boxing fight, isn't it? I quite like my boxing. And there's some times where you are in total control, the punches are flying, you're on the front foot. But there's also times in life where your back's against the ropes and you're trying to dodge and duck and avoid the punches. And there's sometimes in life where you are flat out on the canvas. The key is how to get back up in life. The key is how you respond to those challenges. Like any 36-year-old, I guess I've had stacks of different challenges. The biggest ones when I think back have been family health challenges, whether that's my dad having cancer 10 years ago, whether it's my mum having cancer 3 years ago, whether it was my sister who was very ill when she was at university. She had something called Guillain-Barré syndrome, I think is called, which is where your immune system effectively attacks your own body. So those are the biggest things that stand out to me when I think of challenges. But any challenge, whether it's a health challenge, a work challenge, a relationship challenge, I've had a couple of those in the past as well. The key is to always keep a positive mindset, always look for the solutions, always look for the opportunities. Surround yourself with people that have been where you're trying to get to, or are going to where you want to get to. I think that's super important. And I know it's a bit cheesy. I know you would have heard it before. Surround yourself with the 3 people. Yeah, you've heard it. But I think that's super important. Surround yourself with people that are going in the direction that you want to. Naturally, you'll pick up tips and tricks from them. You'll pick up things that you might not have thought of. You've got them to be accountable to. So that's a super key one for me. And it's the same when you get challenges. Try and find someone that has had the same challenge as you, but they've overcome that. They've got through it. So that's important. But the number one thing when it comes to dealing with challenges in life, put yourself first. And this is something that I struggled with for years and years. I'd always be that guy. I'd be absolutely exhausted from the week. I'd be knackered. I'd be so tired. I've worked hard all week, but everyone's going for beers on a Friday, and I don't really want to go because I'm so tired, but I'll go because I don't want to let them down. I'd always put other people before me. Up until probably about 6 months ago, that was the case. 6 months ago, been doing a lot of coaching and realised that I can't keep living life that way. Got to put myself first. And the analogy that my coach gave me was, James, if you're on an aeroplane and the plane is heading for the mountain, what do? Go and put everybody else's oxygen mask on first and then pass out before you put your own on? Or do you put your own oxygen mask on first and then help other people? And that really resonated me. That helped me. And for the last 6 months, I've had a lot of focus on my own well-being, on my own self-care. on making sure that I get that recovery in, I get that good sleep in. I'm wearing a Whoop band, and I'm sorry if you've seen any other videos of me talking about this, but I absolutely love it. This Whoop band here tracks a number of different things. It tracks your strain, it tracks your stress levels, it tracks your HRV, which is your heart rate variability. For me, the main two things I'm using it for are my sleep and my recovery. And those two things are things that I let slip up until probably 3 or 4 months ago, I would say. Now I'm absolutely obsessed with those numbers. I'm making sure that I am stopped work by 7 p.m. I use the focus modes on my iPhone to make sure that after 7 p.m, unless you are like VIP, you cannot get hold of me. That means I don't get calls and emails late at night when I'm trying to decompress. I make sure that by 7 p.m. I'm out of the office. That's non-negotiable. When I go home, I'm not sucked into doing emails and sitting on the CRM system late at night. I eat earlier. I spend an hour before bed completely chilling out. I've got a sauna blanket, which is amazing. That's really, really cool. I have a hot bath. And I just take time for myself to read, recover, and relax. You can't park a Ferrari at 100 miles an hour, right? You've got to slow the Ferrari down before it gets into the garage. It's exactly the same with our bodies. So I'm putting a lot of focus into my own recovery, making sure I get good sleep. And honestly, I cannot tell you how good I feel from prioritizing those things. A couple of years ago, if you'd have said to me, James, focus on your sleep, I'd have been like, yeah, whatever, mate. I'm gonna go. Don't worry about my sleep. I'll be all good. The difference in how productive I am, the difference in the clarity of my mind is insane just since I have been focused on sleep and recovery and avoiding the things that ruin your sleep and recovery. Alcohol, no good for sleep, no good for recovery. Eating late, no good either. Sitting on phone screens late at night, no good for you. So just by making those changes, I have been in an incredible place mentally. I feel the best I've ever felt. And that has helped me deal with the challenges of life. I always used to say, you can deal with anything in life as long as I've had a good sleep. I didn't really believe it. Now I genuinely do believe it because I've seen the proof is there. I'm recovered, I'm well rested, I've had a good sleep. I don't struggle with the go. That just comes naturally. But prioritizing those things can deal with any challenges that life throws at me. So I hope that's helped. Those are my 5 questions. That is it for this week's show. I hope you found it useful. Hope you took some benefit, some value from the things that I've been talking about. If you have any questions that you would like answered on anything from finance, investments, motivation, or just anything that you want to ask, please put them in the comments box below and I'll answer them on next week's show. Thank you very much for listening.